Hey guys, this is Jermaine Morgan, and you're watching Grooves and Motivation Live. And we're going to talk about something. The small things count too. Just FYI, the small things count too. So we're going to dig into this, dig into a little groove. I got an idea, something I want to play around with this morning. So stay tuned. My intro is not working this morning. All right, now we're back. My little intro gave me that awkward silence for a second. All right, so jumping right into this thing this morning, I had this vibe that I was trying to play around with. I had something in my head, and I was gonna play around with it this morning. So we're gonna see what this feels like. I'm not all the way set on it, so we're gonna kind of be doing some real time building for a groove idea. Since this is grooves and motivation, so let's see if I can get me some chord linked over. See if I can get me some chord linked over here. All right, let me play around with this. I'm gonna put my bass down for a second. Charles, what's up, man? Absolutely, absolutely. So let me, if I can get situated, I got cords and stuff all tangled up. My headphones and stuff are all tangled up this morning. So yeah, Sean, good morning to you. Let me see here. All right, I'm trying to get this stuff in the shot where you guys can see it here. All right, so let me play around with this for a second. See if I can come up with anything. It was something like that. Just a really simple, like a 2 chord progression that I was hearing, and I almost lost it right before I went. I think I did lose it before I went live. Malachi, what's up, man? Who else we got? George, good morning to you. Zion, Illinois, Madison, Indiana, Philly, Albany, New York. I see y'all coming in. I see you. I see what y'all building out here. All right, let me turn these keys up where I can hear what I got going on here. There we go. Y'all hearing that all right? We'll stop with that. We'll keep that simple. Keep a simple progression. Maybe I can end it with something different. It's just a really, really simple progression. I was hearing something and trying to put it together. Yeah, keep it simple. All right, there we go. So we got a loop. He said, I'm loving that serene. I'm loving that serene 6 string. I'm glad you love it, man. I'm glad that you guys are digging that bass. I like it too. Uh, let's do something here. What is this? See if we can use that. I really don't know if I like that. Let's change it up. Let's figure something else out. Let's try something. A sound I like to kind of go to every now and again. How are y'all today? Are y'all good? How is everybody feeling while I'm going through here finding sounds? Indiana. What is that? Madison. I've never heard of Madison, Indiana. It sounds like it's country. I'm just gonna be honest. It sounds like a country town, but it could be city. And when I say country, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm from the country, so I'm all about the country. So let's mix that with another. All right. All right. No, not that one. That might work. Let's see. Let's mix it. Let's mix it. So, all right. So we're creating this morning. That's what we're doing. I'm in the key of A flat if you got your bass out. Or you can think of it as F minor too. All right, let's try that. Let me take the loop off of it really quick. Sorry, guys. Let me take the loop off. Take the loop off. Keep it simple. There we go. Ohio River. Okay, it's right on. That's what I'm talking about. Right on the river. Y'all ain't far from the country. Yeah, it got a little drag to it. Let's see if we can put that where we want it right quick. All right, here we go. You're not syncing like I want you to. All right. My computer is being rebellious this morning. See what I go through. Angel, what's up? We can live with that. All right, let me for the sake of this, let's add a little. Now I got to go and find a bass. Ah, man, my bad, y'all. We creating though. We creating, right? All right, let's put a bass in here. Let's put a bass in here. There we go. All right, we got something now. We got something to play around with. Bernard, what's up, man? Kenya in the building. How y'all like that? Is that a vibe? We have a vibe yet? We got something we can play with? If you're digging it, thumbs up. If you're not digging it, thumbs up. That'll kind of give me a clear. Philly is in the building thick this morning. Good stuff starting up, absolutely. Anybody else sit up straight in their seat when he's the syringe? It got a little drag. I ain't mad at that drag. All right, here we go. So I'm debating if I want to put a lead in there, like low key. High key, I think I'm gonna go ahead and put it in there. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna put it in there. I'm gonna take it out. Pause. But you know, y'all get that later. Don't worry about it. That ain't it. That ain't it. That's let's see here. Okay. I think I want that sound in there. And yeah, I think I want that sound in there just to add a little color to that kalimba sound. All right, let's get that one. Let's get that one. Loving the flow. I appreciate that. So let's get that. I'm gonna keep it simple. We're not gonna solo over here. Let's try it. Let's see here. Okay, it's doing something different. Gotta remember what I played. Okay. Still gotta remember what I played. All right. Should have been C sharp. Okay, my fault. I got y'all. I got y'all, man. Hold on. I got you. I can live with that. All right, let's keep it moving. gentlemen. I think we have a vibe. Kind of going through the tones real quick. Hey, mama. something like that. All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Let me go back through some of this stuff that I missed. It wasn't that much. I seen the comments. Christopher said it would be neat to have the DAW software to see how you are selecting the loop selections, or are you running the keyboards into a looper pedal? No, no, that was I'm working in Logic. I'm doing this all in Logic. So I literally just grab my loop tool and loop those 8 bars, and that's literally all I'm doing, selecting that loop. So once I got my structure of what I was doing with the song, I just grabbed that little 8 bar section and just let it loop and play over the top of it. So that literally was it. So Chris also says, nice. I've been trying to use some thumping lately as well. I almost forgot about it as a technique for a while. Yeah, thumping can come in real handy, man. Just knowing how to use that. I use it depending on the song. It's not one of my like go-to things that I do. I know some bass players, it's like that's their thing, that's their sound. And for me, I think I'm a little more partial to finger tone style, the way that I play. But there are a lot of songs that I will, do thumping and stuff on. But yeah, the finger style for me is more so what I do. Dr. Peggy Moore, my mom. Everybody say hello to my mom. Here, this is my mom right here. So yeah, y'all say hello in the comments. All right. So Christopher Shepard says again, I read your whole name. I read your government name then, Chris. He said, this is a very nice mix for spending no time on EQ. It shows how important it is for the sounds to flow rhythmically, and how right the volume can do a lot to make the mix work before even touch. Man, listen, that's a whole grooves and motivation or master class right there, just when producing or writing and creating music, because all of those, like, most producers kind of know what they want to hear as they're producing the music. And so being able to get good levels on stuff, I think your production ear has everything to do with everything, So like when you're even with using the looper pedal, me kind of learning how to use these looper pedals and stuff and adjusting my bass volumes as I go. Like, I know I want my kick drum, like if I'm doing this, like if I create a loop really, really quick. So let's try to do this on the fly. Right? This ain't ideal, but I'll make it work. So like my snare, I want that to cut through. I don't want it bleeding. I'm gonna do that over because I got a lot of ringing happening. So that snare is pretty hot, right? So I'll add some chords in here. And the reason why my beat is so hot right now, because I know the more layers I stack on top of it, like, stuff starts to get lost, and that just comes from years of doing this over and over again. So I'll have my beat pretty hot if I start with the beat, and then just like So those are my chords, and I might put my bass in there. And that's a good volume. It ain't got to be crazy hot. And like if I added a melody in there. See, with that, I can still hear everything like real clear. But if I want to like solo over top of that, most of the time, like thinking levels, I know whatever I want to play solo wise is going to compete with that. So I might like take the melody out, just the vibe. This is a whole vibe. I was making an example, but I want to play to it now. So now y'all see how my mind work. I got just completely sidetracked with that. Like I'm a music head. I can't help it. Save. Let me save that. That's been motioned and properly saved. So yeah, y'all might hear that on the record. That's how these records be happening. I was making a point about balance and all that kind of stuff, and ended up on a whole vibe. So, all right, I blame Chris. I blame you, Chris, for that. So, if anybody are mad, blame Chris. I blame Chris for that. So, real quick, I just want to jump in and share something. I know you guys saw the title today, "Small Wins Count Too," and well, what was the cover? I can't even remember what I had for the cover. Little wins count up big time. Little wins count up big time. I'll try not to be long winded with this, but little wins count up big time. I don't know, man. I wanted to encourage somebody who's listening today who feels like some of the stuff that you're doing, it don't matter. You feel like it really don't matter because in the grand scheme of things, you're making like you're like throwing a rock into the ocean, and compared to the big waves that are already being made, you're doing very little to nothing. But one of the things I want to say is your little wins they count too. And I know it can sound cliche, but the little things you do, the little uh, things that you change little by little, it matters. You know, I I was telling somebody, I was having a conversation about the fact that some people don't feel like it's necessary to pray about certain things, especially if they keep messing up with it. And it's like, man, I messed up on that. What's the point? What's the point of even trying? Or if it's like, it's not necessarily a mess up, but it's like, I haven't seen any results from me doing this particular thing. Why should I continue to put energy behind this when I'm not seeing any results? Like practicing. A lot of bass players are on here. So we'll take bass playing. We'll use that for an example. So when you're doing your little daily, you know, things like working on learning your fretboard, working on going through your scales, and working on all these little things that you're trying to work out, whether that be learning scales, whether that be just memorizing where your notes are, whether that be just learning song by song, you feel like you're making very, very little progress. You feel like you're making very, very little progress. And I've said this so many times to my bass students, like record yourself. You have to record yourself playing, because that like really is the only indicator of how much growth you have. That and other people who are able to hear where you were and able to hear where you are now in comparison. Now I know we can do it from time to time, like, oh man, I done came a long way from where I used to be. But most of the times, as we're improving, here's why the little wins count. Because as we're improving, our ears also adjust. As you mature, your mindset also adjusts. And if you don't have anything to reference that against, you will go along thinking that you're doing the same thing over and over again when in actuality you're not. And that can go for being good, or that can go for being bad, or something being a good habit or something being a negative habit. You think, well, I only eat, one cookie, I only eat one cookie a week. Big deal, right? And it's like, man, I can eat another cookie because I don't really eat that many cookies like that. So I'm gonna eat two. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna eat two a week. Big deal. Not making a big deal. All right, cool. So you start doing that and you kick it up. I'm eating a cookie every day. And then that kicks up that I'm eating a pack of cookies every day, right? And little by little, because you're not noticing those little incremental changes that you're doing, this habit that is now a bad habit, which beforehand it wasn't that big of a deal. One cookie a week is like, really? You don't think you're making a big deal. But if you're not doing anything to fight against that in a health sense, yeah, it could be a big deal. But it's not making like a drastic deal with what you're doing. But like little by little, as you incrementally grow in that thing, be it good or bad, before you know it, it's like, wait a minute, I'm dealing with a health thing and I don't even know where this came from. It might be from them cookies you eating every day, right? Like going in on those cookies and you're not offsetting that with a good thing. Not to go down the health road. I'm just saying sometimes we can oftentimes think that the little things that we're doing, they don't matter. So like when you're on this base, you're doing these little exercises and all these little things. I couldn't just, like I was saying, that we got a vibe early on. I couldn't do that. I was playing around with ideas and it was hard to connect the dots. But one thing about repetition, when you continue to do something, even if it's one thing over and over again, you do that thing and you perfect doing that one thing. You master doing that one thing. And you'll run circles around the people who are trying to do 200 things good. Like, no, you master that one thing and then move on to something else. Because that mastery of that one thing is, I'm trying to think. It's like I want to say it's like a old karate parable or a saying or proverb or something like that. It's like I'm more afraid of the man who is instead of the guy who has practiced 100 kicks. I'm more afraid of the one who has practiced one kick 100 times. It's something along that line. So it's like that repetition of that little thing over and over and over and over again. It produces a result. So the repetition of doing this over and over again. And then I start adding a lot more to that little thing that I keep adding to that little by little. Let me take this sound off. It's kind of weirding me out right now. I keep adding to that. Like I start like going back and forth with that. And before you know it, I have something that I'm working with. And I hear that sound as a bassist. For you bass players to listen, I hear that sound as a bassist. And I'm like, wait a minute. Where else can I do that? Okay, I can do that there. What if I do? And then I keep working on that. And I start getting smooth with it. Now it don't sound as choppy. So now I get smooth with it. And I'm putting phrases together. And so now it was a little thing that I started with, but the thing about the little thing, when you work on the little thing over and over and over and over again, it creates so many different variations are available in that one little thing that you do. Hey, I can do the same thing. Maybe I can do it this way. Maybe I can try from this, even if it's not the bass. Maybe I can try it from this way. I've noticed as an entrepreneur, and I got a scripture reference for this too, for the people who are interested. And I think that should be everybody. But I noticed this as an entrepreneur. Um, since I've been doing this entrepreneurial journey, it's been difficult, but it's been a learning process. And the more I read and the more I study, all the material that I study, but more importantly, the Bible, when I read it, there's a verse in Proverbs. Proverbs is a great book for anybody that's, you know, looking for some wisdom. It's a great book. So, and read Proverbs too. Mark that down. Go read that and read over it again. And then when you get through, go back and read it again. But this comes from Proverbs 13. It says, wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it. This sums up everything that I'm saying. And I know it's talking about wealth in this particular passage, but what is wealth? What can wealth include? Wealth can include knowledge, a wealth of resources, a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of a number of things. But it says wealth gained hastily. In another translation, it says uh, wealth gained dishonestly or by fraud. Or you're in a hurry to get there. You're in a hurry to do something. It doesn't last. But when you gather it little by little, you'll increase it. And I thought about my business and the things that I've done as an entrepreneur. I'm like, you do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. And I put it in this scenario when you think about entrepreneur and you think about business. Well, I'm not making that much. I'm not earning that much. And of course, as entrepreneurs, we all want to scale our business where it does more, it does greater revenue and all that kind of stuff. But one of the things I noticed, that the analogy I'll use here, I had a water leak at my house. Now, most faucets and stuff like that leak, you know, what is it? 9 out of 10 faucets you got some little leak in your house. Like maybe it's a little drip and it's a really, really slow drip, especially if it's an older house. And it's so faint that you probably won't even notice it. It probably won't even show up much on your water bill. But if you have a constant drip, even if it's a slow drip, but it's constant, if that's something that hadn't been going on in your house and your water bill, if y'all, whatever country you're in, if you're charged for water like we are, if your water bill has been consistently like, 25, 30, $50, whatever your water bill is, let's say $30. If your water bill has been consistently $30 and all of a sudden this little leak and it's only doing this, doop, 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 it's doing that. And now all of a sudden at the end of the month, it's like, wait a minute, my water bill is $40. What happened? It's like we trying to trace stuff down and figure out like how did my water bill go up $10 and I don't use any more water than I've been using. But that constant drip, little by little, it adds up. Little by little, that little drip, it adds up. And if you don't get the problem fixed, that little leak will go from doop, doop, it'll start speeding up. Doop, doop, doop. Now you're at $50 a month. And it's like, how in the world? It's a constant drip. Don't fool around because you didn't get something taken care of, or maybe something is going on with your pipes, like this winter that we had recently, and your pipes freeze. Now you got a bursted pipe. Now water is just gushing out. Now you went from $30 to $130 for your water bill because that water was just gushing. And that's how things are with our life. It's like you don't think that little drip means much, but when you look at the receipt, it's like, wait a minute, I see something that's happening. But we can look at that in a negative sense, but it's hard for us most of the time to see it in the positive because it doesn't make a big wave. Like throwing a rock in the ocean, it doesn't make a big wave, but you are making a difference in what you're doing in your life. These small little things, that small little drip, if you keep working on it on the positive tip, it turns into a faster drip, which in turn, it makes a difference. It makes a big difference. And so the more you work on that, work on it, it turns into a flow. So a drip turns into a flow eventually if you keep consistent with it. But the thing about it, we don't see those little wins adding up. So, okay, that's great, Jermaine. What do I do about that? Well, you got to first acknowledge that they are wins. Those little things that you're doing right, you got to acknowledge as a win. You got to acknowledge it as a win because it's hard to benefit from something that I won't acknowledge, right? Like today, it's a great day. It's I think the weather's supposed to get up to like mid 70s today, and our weather's been weird. Like you don't know what to expect down here in Atlanta. You one day I'm out here with a two-piece suit on, a three-piece suit on. The next day I'm out here in short pants. Like I don't know what to expect with this weather that we are having. But the thing is, it's like with all that's going on, if I don't completely, I saw the comments and I completely lost my train of thought that quick. but but with everything that's going on around you, you have to make it your business to pay attention and acknowledge in order to take in the wins, in order to reap the benefits of the wins. All right, so how do I do that in my own stuff? Well, I noticed with the weather again that it's a nice day outside, so I stop. I acknowledge the weather. Maybe I'll go outside and I'll do something, and that's not like a all out celebration, but it's like I'm taking time out right now to acknowledge that this weather changed. Like this weather changed. This is something like the sun is out. Man, this is a nice day. And I literally go outside for a second and I stop. It feels good out here. Like this is really, like, I acknowledge it. And that's not rocket science. So when you have a win, so just say, let's put it back on the base. You're doing these things and just say all week you've been doing the little working on your scale or whatever it is you've been working on, like we were talking about. You've been doing that all week. And at the end of the week, you listen to yourself. If you recorded it at the beginning of the week, now record it at the end of the week. Just say Monday you record with your phone, because it's easy to do now. You record it with your phone on Monday, and if you work on that exercise all week, when you get to the end of the week, if that's Friday or Saturday for you, record it again on Saturday and listen to the difference in it. It will sound like this. And now at the end of the week, it sounds like this. It's like, wait a minute, I done got smooth with that thing. Like, so you acknowledge it, like, man, that's cool. And you acknowledge the fact that you are making progress. Literally say out of your mouth, I am making progress. And so acknowledgement is actually saying something about it. Like a great example, I was teaching my kids about being acknowledged and all this kind of stuff. It's like if the analogy I gave them, I said, if you were in a classroom setting and I was doing roll call and you put your hand up and everybody else is saying here, and I don't acknowledge you being in the room, it was something like this. I can't remember exactly the analogy I gave them, but my point was, if I don't acknowledge you being in the room because I don't hear your mouth saying anything, it's like you weren't there. Acknowledgement is making known, like, okay, this is here. I'm acknowledging, I see you. I'm acknowledging, I see you. Now you can put your hand down, right? You said here, okay, got you, check. I acknowledge the fact that you were there. But the thing we won't do, we won't acknowledge the fact that we're making progress, right? We won't acknowledge the fact that we're making good progress because we're only looking at what we're not doing right. So we've been working on this all week. That's a major pentatonic scale I'm playing, by the way. We're doing that all week, and now somebody does something on YouTube. Jermaine puts out a video on YouTube, and he doing, I can't do that, man. I ain't. Like, wait a minute, bro. You've been practicing this all week. Did you acknowledge the fact that you done that right? Like, get to that when you get to that. What Jermaine played, that's cool, but did you acknowledge what you've been playing and what you've been working on all week? Give yourself credit for what you're doing right, because that's adding to your vocabulary. That's adding to your ability to produce. That's adding to your ability to win. Like that, all of this stuff is going to add up eventually, because the stuff that I'm showing and the stuff that I teach as a bass player on YouTube or whatever, this is stuff that I've worked on over the years, or something that I've worked out in my own practice time. So I give from the abundance of the information that I have. And you, if you're going to give, if you're going to win, you got to win from the abundance of what you have. Now, if that's only a little bit, then give that little. Give that little with all that you have, and you could see the win in that. But a lot of times we're looking at other people's abundance and we don't acknowledge what we have in our hands. So therefore, we can't see ourselves winning because everybody else looks like they're winning over us. So acknowledge the abundance of what you have, even if it's not that much. It's something. And a whole I say a little bit of something beats a whole bunch of nothing. So if you're doing 15 minutes of practice a day because you dog tired when you get home, well, that's beating a whole bunch of no practice a day because you just don't feel like it. 15 minutes a day beats nothing. Beats absolutely nothing. Is that going to get you to where you go, trying to go? Eventually it will. It won't get you there as fast as perhaps doing an hour a day would, but you're still making progress. Uh, I reference my kids a lot because we teach them a lot, and we go back to the story of the tortoise and the hare. And somebody actually did that. It was a meme or a video on YouTube or on Instagram. I can't remember which one, but it was like that actual race between the tortoise and the hare, and it was so funny seeing it like really displayed. Maybe many of you will watch that video, but you got the turtle. I'm gonna call him the turtle. The turtle, he's just going like when they literally are racing. Well, the people set him up to race, and what happens is the turtle takes off. The rabbit, of course, just bam, 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 bam. It's like super easy work for him. But what happens? The rabbit gets almost to the finish line and then turns around, comes back down here where the turtle at, looks around, distracted, go back up there almost to the finish line, comes back. And so he's so distracted, even though he has all of this ability to do well, he's too distracted. He's too distracted. So eventually the tortoise wins because he stayed the course, even though he was moving much slower. At a much slower rate, he stayed the course and he actually won the race. And the rabbit is still back here going back and forth, and he could have won like 4 times over. So sometimes in your situation, you will beat people who are way better than you because you're focused. People who are way more advanced than you, people who know way more than you know, and you'll beat them out. And when I say beating them, I'm talking about in your area of influence, you might get a position that you're not even qualified really for. Like, this dude is definitely overqualified. And because of a lack of focus, they didn't get it. You did. I heard Myron Golden say something. He said, successful people have a number of things in common, but the one of the most things that they have in common is they focus on intention and they ignore distraction. Focus on intention and ignore distraction. What happened in the analogy with the tortoise and the hare is like he got distracted. He's not being intentional. Even though the turtle might not know, hey, I'm racing, all he knows is I know I'm supposed to go this way, so I'm just going to keep walking. I'm going to be intentional about moving forward. Whereas this one, like, it's easy for me, so I can go back and forth at will. Whenever I get ready, I can go back up there and maybe I can win it because you're so distracted with what's going on over here. It's easy for you to do, but because you're so distracted, even with that in your playing, as you're trying to improve in your playing, you're working on this thing one day, and then you're working on another thing another day, and then you're working on this. It's like you got a whole bunch of information, but you're not perfecting anything, and you wonder why you're not moving as fast as you want to move, as fast as you would like to move, because you're not focusing. You're not dialing in on what it is you're supposed to be doing. And I'm not saying you got to do the same thing every day. I'm not saying that. And I know for some people it's harder to focus. But one of the things about being able to key in on that focus and you're being really intentional about one thing, get that one thing done. If you know, and you have to adjust this based on how you know you are. So if you know you have a hard time focusing, well, give yourself smaller tasks to complete, or give yourself, a certain amount of time to do this certain thing in, so that you can still consistently do it, but there is intention there. There's focus there. So if you know you have the tendency after about an hour of practicing, like, I'm out, bro. If I don't just start playing something different, like my mind, I can't take sitting here doing the same thing over for however long. Well, how long? You got to start asking yourself questions. Well, how long can you take sitting here doing the same thing? Man, shoot. I can probably do about a good 20 minutes of the same thing. And after that, man, my brain, okay, there you go. 20 minutes of this. There it is. So being intentional about, okay, I'm going to do 20 minutes of this because I know I can keep my attention span for 20 minutes on this particular thing. But not only that, I'm going to do it every single day. 20 minutes of this, 20 minutes of this. I'm being super intentional about it. And you'll notice, even though you might have a lack of focus in a lot of areas, you won't have a lack of focus here because I'm being super intentional about what it is I want to do. I'm going to put my time, my 20 minutes of focus, energy, focus time. I'm going to put my phone on do not disturb. And for these 20 minutes, I'm going to hone in on this. I'm going to really dial in on what I need to be doing. And after that 20 minutes is up, I can do whatever else I got to do on my schedule. But what you'll notice, what I've noticed, because I had a hard time paying attention to certain things, but what I noticed over time, the more that I focus on intention and the more I ignore distraction, my 20 minutes now turns into 30 minutes. Now it turns into an hour. Now it turns into 2 hours of focused time. And it's like, wait a minute, bro, I've been on this for like and I got all of this done. And you start being more productive because that little stuff, it adds up. The little wins, they count up. And what you do with the little wins, you adjust. You keep adjusting. Like I said in that verse, with that particular verse, it says, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it. Whoever, tongue twister, whoever gathers little by little, you will increase it. That's like if you're consistently bringing it in and doing the right things with it. So now I'm being intentional with what I bring in. Now, if I'm just, it's going in one hand and right out of the other hand, then no, I'm not going to build anything. I'm not going to build anything. But if I'm putting it, so I would say, to take it a step further, and this can go for bass playing, this can go for any area of life. The little bit that you get, the little bit that you're doing, or the little bit that you're bringing in, apply it now, right? So I done spent my 20 minutes of focused time on working on this idea, the whole, all right, now apply it to something. Put that in context with something that you already play. And now, as I apply it, I'm being very intentional about it. I'm putting it into practice with something that I already do. Now I'm adding it to my muscle memory. So at will, when I want to pull this out, I can pull it out without thinking about it. I literally can pull that thought out of my head, or whatever this idea is, I can pull it out at will. So it's not enough to just get it. You get it and you share it. You talk about it. You get the information. You talk about the information with somebody. You share the information, or share the information with somebody. You think about it. So get it. Meditate on it, share it. Get it, meditate on it, share it. Get it. That's scripture. I think it's in Joshua. I want to say Joshua 1:9, somewhere in there. It's like, but you get like, let me find it. I don't want to misquote anything. But yeah, you get like, and this is concerning the word, is in this particular passage, it was talking about God's law. But you get it, and you talk about it with somebody, or you meditate on it. Let me find it. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm looking for this. Yeah. So Joshua 1:8. This book of law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it, so that you may be careful to do all that is written in it. For when you do that, you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. So it basically, it's talking about if you go back up, so verse 6, so basically Joshua chapter 1 verse 6 through, I think I want to say verse 9 or somewhere in there, and it was talking about being strong and being courageous, and meditate on God's word, and don't let it depart from your heart, and talk about the word and read it and all this type of stuff. And when you do that, you get this in your heart. You get this stuff in your heart, and it comes out in conversation even when you ain't trying, because it's so much in your heart. And I'm talking about the word here, but imagine doing that when it comes to your playing. Imagine doing that when it comes to your business and the things that you're learning. You're making tweaks. Some things I've done in my own personal business. As time goes on, I make little tweaks here and there. I learn something new. I make a tweak. I apply it. I apply what I'm doing. I talk to other entrepreneurs about business things and business ideas all the time. And so when I get ideas from them, I take these things, we go back and forth. And so now we're sharing this information, and I've already meditated on what I want to do, because sometimes I can't cut my brain off. But when I'm talking to other people about it, I get other ideas. And so I apply some of the things we talked about. Some of the stuff work, some of the stuff don't. But all the while, I'm moving forward. All the while, I'm moving forward. And then there's a trickle, a constant trickle, little by little. You're gathering wealth. You're gathering wealth, whether that be entrepreneurship, whether that be playing, all these different things. So the same thing as you as a musician, the information that you're gathering, okay, think about it, process it, see yourself doing it, hear yourself playing this particular thing, talk to somebody about this thing, somebody else who does this, talk to them about what you've been learning, share it with somebody. I encourage my students a lot of times, find somebody who you're a little bit ahead of and share the information you just learned with them. Because what that forces you to do, that forces you to apply it. Because if I talk to somebody about the word of God all the time, and we get in a situation, and I've been talking all this stuff like, you got to do this and you got to do that. Now I get in a situation, I'm going to be forced to apply what I've been talking about, or else they don't want to hear what I got to say. Like, wait a minute, you talking one thing and you're doing something else. So in this situation, in this scenario, in this setting, let me see you do it. Because talking about it brings action eventually. If you talk about something enough, it's in front of you enough where you're gonna do some type of action regarding that thing. Either you're gonna go extreme opposite the other way, or you're gonna go towards it. So it's like one or two things are gonna happen. You're gonna either move toward it or you're gonna move away from it when you talk about it with somebody, because it's either drawing you in or pushing you away. Right? Something is happening. That's the point. Something is happening one way or another when you open your mouth and you speak about the things that you are learning, the things you are taking in. So all these little things, they matter. They matter. So don't go around thinking that the work that you're doing, it's unimportant. Nobody cares, man. This is who cares? Like who's on YouTube talking about some grooves and motivation, bro? Folks are coming on here looking for bass lessons. Stop talking. I know I've heard it in my comments, like, play something, like, because there are people who come and you feel like you can start to feel like if you're not careful, man, nobody wants to hear what I have to say. But if there's something that's been placed in your heart for you to do, then it's your responsibility to do it. Even if nothing but one person shows up to hear what you have to give, what you have to offer, if there's something that's been placed in you to say and to do, you show up and you do it. Show up, put out. Show up, be productive. It don't matter if everybody else don't get it just yet. It might be for that one. It might be for that one who you're assigned to. Even in your playing, we can take the whole thing. I saw a post yesterday from a friend of mine who posted this thing about. It was like this big, huge mega church. It's like people want to play. Musicians want to play here. Maybe some of you guys saw this meme. Musicians want to play here, and then it has like this really, really small, look like a storefront ministry, but you won't be faithful here. So you want to play here on the mega stage, but you won't be faithful on the small thing. Like, you have to be trusted with the small thing before you can be trusted. No. Let me rephrase that. You're going to be tested with the small thing before you're trusted with the large thing. So if you have a platform, and just say you're a speaker or you're this and you're that, if I can't trust you to share with the platform that you have of 5 people, don't wait for somebody to call you to speak to their 5,000. You won't open your mouth to your 5. If you know there's something in your heart, and this is moving a little bit outside of the music or outside of just being a musician, if you know it's something in your heart that God has placed on you to share, and you won't, for the sake of being corny, for the sake of being canceled, for the sake of somebody having a negative comment, like, don't expect to get the next platform and think that somebody's going to allow you to share in the confines of something that's safe. Like, okay, well, I'll speak at my church where there's like, no. Use the platform. Use where you are. Grow where you're planted. If this is where you're planted right now, what will you say? Now, I ain't saying you got to wear people out with always talking about this and always shoving something like the new the new movement now is like, don't shove this down my throat. But you do have an audience, and people have the right, like, even with this channel, if you don't like what I'm saying, you can simply unsubscribe. Like, no love lost. But this is my calling. This is one of the things I know that I'm supposed to do. On top of play the bass, is there are things that are in me. Motivate, encourage, inspire. I know I'm supposed to do that. I can't turn it off. I want to at times, but I can't. So since you can't turn it off, you might as well do it anyway. Because all you're gonna do is wear whoever you talk to out. You're gonna wear them out because they tired of hearing it. Like your wife or your husband or your kids is like, that's great. We hear this all the time, but get it outside of the four walls of where you feel comfortable. Your most growth will happen outside of the womb of where you feel safe. I was talking to a friend of mine on yesterday, and I was talking about the fact that I heard this pastor talking about this, and this is what made my mind think about it. It might have been, I can't remember his name. Anyway, it was a pastor I heard who brought the subject up. It's like, as long as you're in the womb as a baby, you're comfortable until you reach maturity for that place that you're supposed to be in. Like, you only get 9 months in it. And as long as you're in that place that will house you for 9 months, you're comfortable. But at the end of that 9th month, and sometimes before then, that baby gets really uncomfortable because that baby starts to realize, wait a minute, I got some arms. I got some legs. I want to stretch my back a little bit. And if any of y'all that ever had kids or your fathers or your mothers or whatever, you see that little foot start moving around in that stomach, that baby's starting to figure out, wait a minute, these limbs work. And you can't grow in a place that has become too small for you. You can never grow in a place that has become too small for you. And so now, when that baby comes out, that baby has to get adjusted to a new environment that they know absolutely nothing about. It's bright, y'all shining these lights in my face. It's cold out here. And what is this you trying to give me? What is this? Right? So you have to get adjusted to a brand new environment in order to continue to grow, in order to continue to move forward. So a lot of times that thing that makes you the most uncomfortable is the thing that's going to bring you the most growth. So if that's using your mouthpiece to speak on your platform that you've been given every now and again, saying something. But here's the kicker though. Make sure your actions match what you're talking about. You got to make sure that part matches up. Like, like folks say, you got to make sure your math is mathing, because if you're talking one thing and you're doing another thing, then that's going to make it hard for people to receive you. And then everything that you fear is going to be right because you're not being consistent with who you say you are. So make sure that you, like, in integrity. I mentioned earlier on in this talk, in terms of integrity, Proverbs chapter 2. Read Proverbs when you get time. Read Proverbs chapter 2 and how it talks about integrity and how, like, by walking in integrity, you will literally gain more discernment. You'll be able to discern what's the right path you should take concerning your career, concerning your business, concerning your ideas. Because when you walk in integrity, you walk intentional, right? You're focusing on intention and you're ignoring distraction. So when you're walking in integrity, you're being very intentional. Oh, it's a pothole right there. I'm definitely going to dodge that. I don't want to fall in that. So I'm being intentional. But when I'm not walking in integrity, it's almost like I'm walking right off of a ship with my eyes closed and we're in an open ocean. Can you swim? First things first. And second question, how long can you swim? Because that environment is not made for you to survive as a human being. That's why we're on ships. So the way this world presents things to you, if you're walking around with your eyes closed, being unintentional and just going through the motions, then eventually you're going to drown, because this world is not made for you to survive with your eyes closed. You got to be very intentional, and integrity keeps you intentional. Integrity keeps you very intentional, because if I know what I'm supposed to be doing, I automatically know what I'm not supposed to be doing. So I'm going to automatically avoid these things that have nothing to do with what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm going to automatically avoid these posts that have nothing to do with what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not going to share this. I might laugh at it, but I'm not going to put it out there and share it and try to and try to tag on to something because I know it gets me views. I know people chime in with drama. I know people chime in with somebody being embarrassed. I'm like, I could have grew my platform. Like some of you guys may know, I started all the way back over on my Instagram. I started all the way back over on my Instagram channel. And it's been a task trying to grow that thing back. I had about 12,000, right at almost 13,000 followers, which for some people that's not a lot. But I had about like right at 13,000 followers on Instagram about a year and a half ago now. And my page got hacked and I lost my page. So I had to start all the way back over. And it's like my point to this, if I really wanted to grow that page fast, I know what to do. I know exactly what to do. And this is not being arrogant when I say that. I know I can play. So all I got to really do is join and hear me clearly. I'm not putting anybody down or talking against what somebody else do to grow their it's like if I wanted to really grow my channel fast, I'll just jump on the wave. I've been doing social media long enough. I can just jump on a wave. Okay, this works. I can do that. Let me do that. But what I've learned, that does not move me closer to what I'm supposed to be doing. So rather than jumping on a wave, there are some things I might do that are slightly trendy and they don't compromise my integrity of who I am. I'm like, okay, I can do this variation of that and that'll be cool. But I'm not going to just jump on the bandwagon and do stuff just because it will send a lot of followers my way. So because of that, I'm moving a lot slower growing the page. And it's like, I'm okay with that because I'd rather the people who follow me be people who are genuinely there because they want to be there, not there because, I got them excited for a second. I want you to be genuine. So yeah, somebody says okay. Oh yeah, my Instagram is at J Morgan Base. Before I forget to mention that, if you guys want to follow me there. Side note. So I'm saying, but being very intentional about how I'm growing my channel. It's like integrity. No, it causes me to know I'm accountable. I'm accountable. So whoever, if you got 50,000, if you got however many followers, you're accountable for those people. Like those people are following you. But here's the question: where? Where are they following you? Where are you leading them? Are you responsible with your platform? Are you responsible with the little bit that you're doing? Because you're going to grow something. Because when we talked about that verse in Proverbs, was it Proverbs 13 and 11, where it was talking about wealth, he who, gathers little by little, eventually you'll come into wealth with gathering little by little. Well, that can go for the opposite too. Little by little, you can gather and gather and gather and end up somewhere you never intended to be. Because a little bit of something wrong can do a lot of damage. A little of something wrong can do a lot of damage, right? So we have to be very intentional about it. And so intentionality is everything. Accountability is everything. Be accountable, man. Be accountable for who you say you are, what you say you're about. Like, be accountable. Now, is that going to say I'm perfect in every area? Man, no. Yeah, you can catch me around here on some days that, I'm having a bad day. I might say or do some things that I wouldn't do on Grooves and Motivation, but I'm not going to. My character at large, though, and let me be clear with this, meaning I might get angry, but you're not going to see me on here angry. That's what I mean by that. Like I might get frustrated. I'm not going to come on Grooves and Motivation frustrated, but at large, my character is intact. It's like, I'm not going to step outside of the bounds of who I say I am if I have integrity, because even in my anger, I can be angry, but even in my anger, I know that there's a line that I can't cross. When you don't have integrity, there is no line. There is no border. You don't create a safe space for yourself to operate in. So you'll just do anything. You'll say anything. You'll go anywhere because there are no boundaries when you have no integrity. But accountability says, no, I can't do that. I can't say that. I can't be a part of that because somebody's watching me. I got somebody watching me. And if they're watching me, I don't want my life or something that I do to mislead them to think that this is okay when it's actually not. Granted, everybody is responsible for their own self. They're responsible for their own salvation. But at the same time, I don't want to be guilty of leading someone in a way that they shouldn't go because I had a lack of integrity and I had a lack of accountability, right? So anyway, I know I done went way down a rabbit hole with this one, but I just these are some things I wanted to share today. And but at the end of the day, the little things that you're doing, they add up, whether it be good, whether it be bad. But we're in this particular talk, we're focusing on the little wins that you get. Celebrate the little wins. My family has been trying to get more in the practice of that, of celebrating the small things that we do. If my son, like, he's playing soccer, my son Jonathan is playing soccer. We wanted him to get into a sport. I ain't the sports dude, but we got him in the sport, so he's playing soccer. He's been sick the last week or so he didn't get to do his games last week. But hopefully he'll get to do his game tonight. He's feeling a lot better. But in doing soccer, there was a game he had before he got sick. There was a game he had, and he had been playing. I want to say he had been on offense. And the coach told him for this particular game. Granted, like this is like minor, way minor, and it's like the coach was like, "Okay, Jonathan, you're on offense," and we could tell, me and my wife could tell during the game, during the first half, he was very like confused. He didn't know what to do. He was just kind of standing around, and he literally walked over, and this little league guy. So he walked over to the coach. He's like, I don't know. I'm like, he's like, the coach like, what you doing? He's like, I don't know what I'm doing. He's like, I don't know how to play offense. So he really wanted to come out of the game because he felt defeated. They had got the ball past him a couple of times. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't guard. So he literally didn't know what to do. They didn't have that many rehearsals going into their season or whatever. It's like a little small thing. But anyway, so the coach told him, he said, let me do the same thing you do on defense. You just make sure you send the ball that way, right? Just send the ball and I go. But pretty much do the same thing. The coach just gave him a little couple of nuggets. And from that point on, his countenance kind of went up a little bit. He started getting a little bit more excited about the game. So that second half, he came out there confident, and he was running. He was guarding. He was doing a lot more, and he had a better idea of what he was doing, and he worked a lot harder, and he had way more confidence. So at the end of the game, all that being said, they had a really good game. They lost, but he played really well. So what we did afterwards, we went out and celebrated. We went out and celebrated the small win that he had because he was like almost defeated at the beginning of the game. It's like, man, what's going on with Jonathan? And towards the end of the game, he was like a completely different dude out there. It's like, look at it. Like he's doing some stuff with it now. And so we went and celebrated that small win, and that win gave him confidence. So since that moment, he's been practicing and improving with his kick and improving with this and improving with that. And his confidence has went way up because not only did he have a win, we celebrated the win. And we encouraged him from that win, right? And even letting him know in those moments when you're feeling like this, that, and the other, don't allow that moment to overtake you. And he didn't. And that's what we were proud of, is the fact that you didn't allow what seemed like failure at the beginning of the game to overtake you, because you came back with a vengeance in that second quarter. So anyway, guys, I hope that makes sense for all of you. So in those wins, celebrate them. Celebrate what you're doing right, because you're making waves. You're doing something. All right, let me go through these comments, and I'm going to jump off of here. I don't even know where I stopped. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm reading the comments from the bottom up. I'm trying to go back. All right, so he said, Jay Morgan, can you speak? This is SC based. He says, can you speak on the importance of playing what you feel, but also having the knowledge of what you're playing? Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of going along the lines of what I was talking about, to not kind of beat a dead horse with some of the stuff I've been saying. That, like, you learning little by little, but enjoying the whole time, enjoying along the way. That's important in terms of having an idea of what you're playing. It's definitely important because it's easier to repeat when you know what you've done. But it's not the most important thing, right? I think the most important things, I was even teaching my son in here as he was trying to play the drums. I think one of the most important things is realizing, and I got this from Victor Wooten, the enlightenment from this, rather, where he was saying we play music, and oftentimes we forget that we're playing. And I told my son, he was in here practicing the drums the other day. I played a beat and I had the hip like I had he was in my studio, so I had a song playing and I played to it and I said, play, come play this. And I didn't really teach him anything. I just told him it's something I knew he didn't know. And I just said, hey, sit down, play this. And then I played it first and I just got up, handed him the sticks and let him sit down. And he was playing real tense and he's looking back at me and trying to see if he's doing it right and trying to get that, nod of approval. And I wasn't saying anything. I was just looking at him. I'm like, come on, play, play. That's all I kept doing. I said, come on, play. And I stopped the music and I told him, I said, son, this is about you enjoying it. I said, when you go outside to play, what are you going to do? To have fun. This is for you to enjoy. So I feel like, yeah, it's important to learn what we're doing, but over time, you'll get it right. Like with him, I gave the analogy with him of him learning to ride his bike. I said, when you first got on your bike, could you ride it good? He's like, no. I said, but did you quit when you fell? He's like, uh-uh. I said, and eventually you got to the point where we took your training wheels off. Eventually you got to your point where you can do little tricks, little stuff here and there. And now, like, you enjoy it. You just get on it. Now you do it without thinking about it. And I think with music, because of theory, and I'm not saying theory is a bad thing, but sometimes we overcomplicate music. And give me a second, guys. I got to change this. I got to change this battery on this camera. So give me just a second. I didn't know my camera battery was dying. And you can grab that book on Amazon, by the way. 10 Ways to Success, the Working Musician. All right. My good old camera sending me down in flames. Here we go. All right, so I'm back. So again, I was teaching him about the whole thing with with riding your bike and that kind of thing. Like you work at it and little by little you'll get it. You'll figure the stuff out as you go. And like with the music thing, you don't want to make the theory the most important thing. It's important, but it's not the most important thing. You are supposed to enjoy what you're doing. So it is important to play what you feel, and it is important to learn what you're playing, so you can duplicate that and so you can enhance it more and more. But again, especially as young musicians, don't make the theory more important than the music. That's something that I see a lot. And I see people who are smart and who are very intelligent when it comes to music, but they have no feel. There is no feel. It's just all mechanical. And so I'm an advocate for, playing by ear. I'm not saying nothing is against reading music. That's not one of my strong suits. I do read, but that's not a strong suit for me, because when I was learning, I've said many times before, I could always hear it and memorize it faster than I could read it. So it was always like an Achilles heel for me to reading music. And I was in band. I did the whole 9 yards. I played tuba in band and all that kind of stuff. But my ear was always faster than my sight reading and that kind of thing. So anyway, if that's a strong suit for you, if reading music is a strong suit for you, of course, lean into whatever your strong suit. My ear happens to be one of my strong suits. So I leaned into it. And I still enjoy music because some people might need to be able to read it to fully enjoy it because, they're visual. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with either one of them. But at the end of the day, make sure that you don't take away the enjoyment of the music. All right, moving on from that. Noel, what's up, man? If you're still here. George says, really, bro, you had to go after my cookie weakness? Yes, sir. He says, usually those cases we blame the water company first before we check our faucets. Absolutely. We're going to take that bill up to the water company and we want to know why is our bill this high. So yeah, absolutely. Keys, the shooter, says, always give yourself grace and compliment yourself at times when you see growth, even in the little things. Absolutely. Absolutely. Canny Lester, glad you're here, man. Steven, I see you if you're still here. Man, just came in. My schedule changed. Good to see you, brother. Likewise, good to be seen and not viewed. If you build it, they'll come. Yes, sir. Sean Lewis says the knowledge that you give is a blessing. The playing is a bonus. To God be the glory. Uh, Management over the small things gives access to the bigger things. Absolutely. Value equals content equals audience. Yep. Sean Lewis says the Bible says if you are faithful over the few things, God will make you rule over many. Come on, yeah, y'all preaching today, ain't you? Very late. Floppy, we're glad you're here, man. Excellent word, bro. I needed to hear all you had to share today. Well, George, if you were the one, man, I'm glad that you was here. You confirming everything that I got on here for. So I'm glad that you're here to hear it, everything that I had to share. All right, so I'm born here says I was driving, just stopped that light and wanted to say this is great talk, Jermaine. Thank you. Got you. Just stopped at a light. Thank you for chiming in. I appreciate that. Integrity keeps you intentional. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Appreciate you. We're going to highlight that, Stephen. I know I said that earlier, but yeah, integrity keeps you very intentional. So we're going to keep that on the screen for a minute. I want somebody to write that down. Integrity keeps you intentional. That if you don't take anything else away from the day, that's your thought. Integrity keeps you intentional. Accountability is important. Absolutely. I'm glad I caught the end of this. We'll watch again from the beginning after this ends. With the soccer, you obviously mean football. America. It's soccer in America. Chris is very encouraging. Thank you. I'll be looking at practice a little different now. Yeah, look at it different. Take it more seriously. Nice. I will pass that on to my daughter who's just started on the base. Yeah, give these kids grace, man. They're just trying to figure it out. And the thing about it, that's why they learn so much faster than we do, because they're having fun and they ain't worried about the rules. They're not as worried about the rules as we are when we learn. Because our minds, because we've been here so long, we think you got to do it this way and you got to do it. And once I learn this, it's like, no, just throw them rules out the window. Like kids, you show them how to pedal that bike, they're going to figure all of the rest of the stuff out. Right? They're going to figure it out. So allow them that freedom to practice, allow them that freedom to enjoy it. And you allow yourself that same freedom to practice and to enjoy what you're doing while you're doing it, and give yourself credit all along the way when you're doing it. Angel, I really appreciate that, man. Floppy says, yes, it is. I have a copy on Audible. Very recommended. I appreciate that, guys, for supporting this book. But anyway, that's pretty much it for today. I was here a bit longer than I thought I would be, as usual. But hopefully you guys found some value in this, and go kill the small stuff because it matters. All right, I'm out, man. Much love to y'all. Peace.